I'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com, the news before the news, where we uncover the truth. Local legend, Daren Muhammad, WFBR. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm good, brother Donnie Glover, BeMoreNews.com, and to, of course, all of the viewers.
Yesterday, the Torbett family marched on City Hall. Tell us about it, your take.
Yes, sir. Well, the Torbett family continue fight for justice, and it's a good fight. And I just want to thank them and applaud them for continuing to stand up. The mother who I hosted on the radio show on Saturday asked the family to wait, and we've waited and hadn't had a public demonstration since February the 20th, which was the last major public demonstration. And so they decided to do again another demonstration, but this time in front of City Hall, which of course is the headquarters of the mayor and city government. And they decided they would take their fight to, or the cause for justice to, City Hall. And we were there yesterday morning and had a good showing in support of citizens throughout the city of Baltimore. So I commend them for continuing to stand up and fight on this issue of justice regarding their loved one and Officer William Torbett.
The video was released, finally.
Well, again, you know, as we said initially, that there's not one video, but there's several videos. So again, I would say to the state's attorney, to the mayor, to the police commissioner, go back and get all of the videotape and release it to the public. Go back and get all of the 911 calls and release it to the public. Go back and get the 1013 call that was made and release it to the public, as you promised at that press conference that was held. And they said that they would release it in 3 weeks. They did not release it for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, and now 8 months. So clearly that information that was shared with us yesterday has been tampered with. It's muddy. We see a lot of images, but we don't see any up-close pictures or frames regarding what happened to Officer Torbett, Sean Gamble. And I would recommend that they go down to Raven Stadium, maybe talk to Ozzie Newsome, and see if they can get some of the NFL cameras, because the NFL seem to have better cameras working and operating than the 538 cameras that are operating in Baltimore City. Because if there's some instant replay in the NFL, know that a call will be properly made, or a call or decision will be overturned based on those cameras that they have down in M&T Bank Stadium that are properties of the NFL. So again, release all of the videotape, and then also we got to begin to ask who was inside of the Select Club Lounge. I was told that there were some radio personalities at Radio 1 that were hosting an event there that night, and we haven't heard Radio 1 radio personalities come out and say what really occurred inside that may have led to an escalation of a situation outside that led to the unfortunate death of Officer William Torbett and Sean Gamble. But you cannot assault a police officer.
Let's bring him up to speed. This is Officer William Torbett, Jr. He and Sean Gamble were killed in the beginning of this year.
Yes, January the 9th, 2011, right outside of the Select Club Lounge. Officer Will Torbett, of course, was a 9-year veteran of the Baltimore City Police Department.
Undercover. Undercover
is what we were told. Sean Gamble, who's a father, I believe, of 1 or 2, 22-year-old semi-pro athlete who was there, I believe, celebrating with family for some type of wedding that was supposed to take place in a few weeks, I believe.
And what we understand is that Officer Torbett was shot 21 times.
Yes, he was shot 21 times while wearing a bulletproof vest. And we did see, and that videotape that was released, that some officers came in who were also undercover and were not in uniform, and picked Officer Torbett's body up and left the scene of the crime, which the first thing they tell you when you're shot is do not move the victim. And of course you're tampering with evidence because that was a crime scene. So it's interesting that you would have the mayor, you would have the police chief stick out their chests and talk about calling in the federal authorities, particularly Rod Rosenstein, the U.S. Attorney's Office, over a 30-officer tow truck kickback scheme, but yet we were told there were 33 officers at that scene outside of the Select Club Lounge that night. 1 officer shot and killed, a civilian is shot and killed, other civilians are injured, but yet that has not been turned over to the federal authorities. Which is more egregious, I'd have to ask you.
Darren, to the chagrin of some, you have been very mindful of our mayors. I think the former mayor probably still remembers the one and only Daren Muhammad. How is this mayor doing? And I ought to preface it with the one thing I remember her saying as she came on board as mayor of Baltimore was transparency.
That's right, Well, she's done a piss poor job, Donnie. She's done a piss poor job in terms of with this case of Officer Torbett, but just the transparency in general with how city government is supposed to serve the citizens that, of course, elected her as the president of the city council, and then she was able to become the interim mayor when former Mayor Sheila Dixon was removed from office. And so clearly this mayor has shown that she's not qualified to move to the next level. And so we have to have a timeout and an end to social promotion in the Baltimore City public school system, but also as it relates to politics in the city of Baltimore, in particular the interim mayor, because she's failed. And right now they're focusing on, of course, the Grand Prix. They're focusing on all of these grandiose activities when we have people being shot down and killed in their homes in the prime of their lives, such as a 91-year-old such as Mrs. Irene Logan. And you will have white liberals being concerned about the cutting down of trees to make room for the Grand Prix that's coming to town in September, when we have precious lives that's being cut down in their prime, and we don't see an outrage when 25,000 people can show up last Saturday for a Ravens practice. 25,000 people or more should have been downtown yesterday standing with Officer William Torbett's family, Sean Gamble's family, and Bubba Green's family, and other victims of violent crimes and crimes in the city of Baltimore.
It was released today in the Baltimore Sun that 75% of the principals in Baltimore City public schools have been replaced, have been bumped, eliminated since Dr. Andres Alonso, your favorite person in the whole wide world, came on board 4 years ago. Your thoughts?
Well, of course, we warned him, you know, like a good weatherman, from Tom Tasselmeyer to Vetus Reed to Norm Lewis to Bob Turk. We warned the citizens of Baltimore that this would happen with this Wall Street bankster or Wall Street lawyer being bought here, that they're running a giant Ponzi scheme. And what you must do in order to of course, be successful with the giant Ponzi scheme is you must remove those who would perhaps be in opposition to what it is you're attempting to do. The principals are the first line after the teachers and the staff, because they give vision to the school. So as the old saying goes, where there is no vision, the people will perish. And our schools clearly are perishing, not flourishing, when you look at all of the facts and look at, of course, the development of our students and the development of our schools under Andre Alonso's misleadership, not his leadership. So clearly there's a destabilization that's been going on. There's no continuity that's going on for the students and for the staff. And so we see the entire system being thrown into chaos under the misleadership of Dr. Andre Alonso, who was never qualified to be a superintendent of any school system in the country. So as we said in the beginning, he was not the best, but he was the less. And of course now the chickens, unfortunately, the buzzards, the roosters, and the ravens are coming home to roost. But those who are being affected the most are our seasoned teachers, our seasoned principals, and of course the students who they're supposed to be serving in the city. So we got to call for the removal of Andre Alonso by every means necessary, the removal of this police commissioner by every means necessary, the removal of this mayor by every means necessary, and the removal of this state's attorney by every means necessary, because these people clearly are not serving the best interest of the citizens in the city of Baltimore.
Daren, often the face of illegal drugs is the young African American male. However, this African American male accused, charged, is a black police officer, Northwestern District Police Station parking lot. That's where the dope at.
Right. Well, you know, my sources have shared with me for some time now that there's been some activity going on and coming down out of not just the Northwestern District, or when Bill Field was in the Southern District, the Southwestern District, and that Central District. And this is why I agree with what one of our activists in the past, Bill Good and Eric Easton, have always called for, which is the burning of the drugs, because oftentimes the drugs that are being stored in the evidence rooms are making it back on the streets of Baltimore. But when you have a police officer who, again, is working hand in hand with a member who heads up internal affairs in Warfield, and then they're closely aligned to a drug deal, then it's clearly kind of brings home the message of what the brothers were talking about in the Stop Snitching DVD, that you have police officers that are corrupt. But if the black police officers are corrupt, and the Hispanic police officers that were brought out to us regarding the tow truck kickback scheme, who look more like an Oreo grapefruit league team, and the black officers are corrupt, what are the white officers are doing when 85% of the police officers in the city of Baltimore are white and they don't live inside of Baltimore City? So, you know, I would say, you know, let's open all of this up and look at what's really going on inside of all of our districts right now, because where there's smoke, there's fire. And this commissioner seems to be having to put out more fires than Chief Clack, the fire commissioner. And these are fires inside of his house in terms of the Baltimore City Police Department right now. But I understand that the FBI is investigating that. I understand that not only with the selling of drugs, but there's been violence, there's been murders as well, and the FBI is investigating all of that, and this leads up the ladder to Billfield. So this story regarding this Officer Red who was selling drugs out of the Northwestern District Police Station does not have legs, but it has wings, and it's going further up the ladder and may indict majors from Warfield to commanders, and perhaps all the way up to deputy commissioners, if not to the commissioner himself. And we've been told that this commissioner right now is looking for a way out. If this mayor is selected to be placed back in City Hall, then he may very well be in his last summer in the city of Baltimore, at least as the police commissioner, but they're trying to find some other position that they could give him.
My last question is the Deputy Fire Chief, Lloyd Carter. Any thoughts on his being replaced? An article came out in yesterday's Sun paper. It still alluded to the cheating as if, I mean, he's been cleared, but there's still this mar of his reputation.
Right. Oh, I know Lloyd Carter personally, and I know that Lloyd, based on qualification, whereas this is the problem we have in the city of Baltimore. We tell our young black men, our young black women, and we tell our children, go to school, be the best that you can be twice as good as white people. And when his opportunity came to be placed as the chief of the fire department in the city of Baltimore, over blacks, over brown, over red, over yellow, and over white, he was passed over not once but twice now. He was better and more qualified than Goodwin. He was better and more qualified than this current one in Clack. And so this mayor and the previous mayor and the previous mayor, from O'Malley to Sheila Dixon and now Stephanie Rollins, has done a disservice to Lloyd Carter. And rather than now allow, again, Lloyd Carter to take his rightful place in running that department, they're fearful of, again, that if Clack leaves, that Lloyd Carter will clearly become the chief in the city of Baltimore. And so I believe that there's been a concerted effort to try to discredit Lloyd Carter and those that are working with Lloyd Carter. If there was some cheating going on, then where's the transparency so that we can really see the facts and the acts that would indict him, rather than say only one person in Lloyd Carter was responsible as the instructor, and therefore with the removal of Lloyd Carter, then everything is fine and the training is now going to go to Ocean City. You think Ocean City would let us train their firefighters? So it's something clearly wrong with that.
Something is
when you have those talking about taking the training of our EMTs outside of Baltimore City, and there's money clearly to be made off of that contract with the training and everything else being outsourced to Ocean City. So if we're in some serious die-hard economic times, then why would you send money outside and send, again, EMTs and others outside of Baltimore to be trained? So again, where's the transparency in this administration down there in City Hall, in the fire chief department or headquarters, in the Baltimore City Police Department? So it's a city government that's run wild and run amok. And I clearly believe that the voters should send a message to this mayor and to others that business as usual must end in the city of Baltimore, and we must have real, true transparency. When she said at her press conference following the move of Sheila Dixon that it had to be about the people's business. Well, there's a lot of monkey business going on, also the people business right now in City Hall, and the people are the ones that's losing the most because of, again, our young people being able to have the opportunities in the city, our black men being able to have the opportunities in the city under the leadership of a black woman who looks like them. But yet, when it comes to them having positions in her administration, they're told you're not qualified. We want diversity, but all we see is adversity when it comes to us doing the right thing for the citizens in the city.
Tuesday through Saturday, 12 noon, WFBR 1590 AM, State of the City.
Thank you, Donnie Glover, BMoreNews.com. Don't forget, George Frazier, August the 27th at the Hiram Grand Ballroom. You can go online, order your tickets, www.badooforjustice.com, and he'll be joining us soon on BMoreNews.com Empowerment Radio, 1010 every Tuesday, 10 a.m.
Good deal.
Peace.
Peace. Keep watching BMoreNews.com, the news before the news. And we think the world of you, brother.
Love you.
Heard you were a pretty awesome football player,
Love
too.
You. Yes.
The news before the news, where we uncover the truth.